श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। क्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभः निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषये गौरवगणां निधे सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं भङ्गं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मणदे वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणे स्वयं व्यासेन कृतिनां पुराणमुनिनां मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीमष्टादशाध्यायिनी अम्बा त्वामनुसन्ततामि गीते भवेद्वेषिणी। नारायणपुरो व्यक्तादण्डमव्यक्तसम्भवं मण्डस्य अन्तस्तु मे लोकाः सत्तद्दीपाशमेदिनि। अवतीर्णश्च कालट्यां केदारेन्द्रतश्च यः चतुष्पीठप्रतिष्ठाता जयतः शङ्करो गुरुः शङ्कारोपेण मुच्यन्तं पङ्गीकृतमबोध्यः किङ्करीस्य स्वामाय शङ्कराचार्य। We were previously looking at the 40th shloka. Neha vikramanaşosti pratyavayo na vidyate salpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. The one here, whatever, there is no waste in an attempt in that karma. So the yoga that I'm going to explain, there is no waste in that, and there is no harm as well. Even a little bit one dharma one does in this, that saves it from a great fear. So we looked at that shloka, and that knowledge concerning that Sankhya and Yoga that so far that has been described is of the following nature. Bhagavan says that it is like this, the knowledge that I described, that is in the 41st shloka he explains vyavasayatmika buddhirekeha kurunandana bhushaka hinantascha buddhayo avyavasayinam. So, O Kurunandana, that is was a son of Kuru dynasty. In this, there is a single understanding in the form of certainty about Atma, and the thoughts of those who lack certainty about this Atma have many branches and are indeed innumerable. So Bhagavan says that. So let's look at a little bit more in detail. Vyavasayatmika means resolute, the one who is firm. Buddhi means intellect. Eka means single. Iha means on this path. Kurunandana is addressing Arjuna. Bhushaka means many branched. He means indeed. Ananta means endless. Cha means also. Buddhya means intellect. Avyavasayina means of irresolute. So Vyavasaya means normally is used in the sense that agriculture and things like that. So Vyavasayatmika means again one who is very firm. Okay, so that means if you look at agriculture, one has to be very firm. You can't just go and put some seeds and then expect crop to come, right? So you have to look after care, single pointedly, you have to focus on that till you get your crop formed. Right? Similarly here, Bhagavan says that, O Kurunandana, so he says, O Arjuna, in this path to moksha, in this path to that bliss, that realization, there is only a single one-pointed conviction. There is only a single vyavasayatmika buddhi. So there is only ekaha, he also says, there is only a single one-pointed, single-pointed, focused conviction, buddhi, which is spoken in the yoga of knowledge, that is Sankhyas, which is characterized, which has the characteristics going to be spoken in the karma yoga. So again, if you look back, so Krishna explained the Sankhya Yoga, and then he explained what Arjuna's duties as a Kshatriya is, and then he says, so far I explained you the jnana, but now I'm going to explain it from a Karma Yoga point of view. Now he is saying that in this here, if when one is, there is only a single pointed conviction, only one focused buddhi, focus here, which is spoken as a in the yoga of knowledge. So in the knowledge, there is only single focus, which has the characteristics that's going to be spoken here as in the form of a karma yoga. It is resolute, it is firm by nature, and it cancels the numerous branches of the other opposite thoughts because it originates from the right source. So Bhagavan says that the right source here is the knowledge, that is the Vedic texts. So whatever the Vedic text there, that's above criticism. It comes from that. So itara viparita buddhi shaka bhedasya bhadika samyak pramana janitatvat here shreyo marge. So here in this form, this path is very firm by nature, and it cancels any other numerous branches, that's opposites thoughts that come, that originate from, because it originates, this yoga originates from the right source of knowledge. And again he says that those those which are other buddhya, that means those who have other thoughts, which are the other thoughts, they are possessed of numerous branches. So anyone who is not coming in this path, will have numerous branches. They will have numerous options. That is, they are possessed of numerous variations because owing to influence of many branches of this worldly state, this samsara becomes, because of that, their samsara, this worldly state becomes endless, it becomes limitless, it becomes uneasing, it is ever growing, it is extensive. Okay. So ananda, it apara, it anuparatah, samsaro nitya pratato vistirno bhavati. Because why it becomes like that? Because they do not follow this single-minded, firm conviction, firm buddhi on this path, in this path. And because of the influence of many other branches they hear, that's why it becomes like that. So Bhagavan again here says that, so it becomes endless, limitless, unceasing, and ever growing and extensive. It is endless because it does not cease till the ripe of full enlightenment, right? Full that jnana, wisdom comes. It endless, this birth and death continues. It limitless because of the worldly state, which is an effect, and it springs from an unreal source. That's why it is limitless. But even the samsara, this worldly state, ceases with this cessation of the infinite branches of thoughts under the influence of discriminating knowledge, which arising from the valid source of knowledge. So once one has that correct source of knowledge from the Vedic text, then this samsara, these different branches of thoughts that comes in the mind, that all ceases. So, and that's the, because that results in the discriminating wisdom. Okay, so one can differentiate what is good, what is bad, and what is right and wrong. And those thoughts are indeed innumerable under every branch. So that's what Bhagavan says. What are those thoughts? He says that avyavasayinam. So of the indecisive ones, of the irresolute ones, that is, of those who are devoid of discriminating wisdom, who cannot differentiate what is body or atma, between body and atma, then they different cannot are not discriminating between sukha dukkha, hot and cold and those kind of things we looked at previously. Those who are devoid of that discriminating wisdom arising from the right source of knowledge, which is again from the Vedic text, those are the indecisive ones. And those are the like that. So then again, in this explanation, Shankara, that's the explanation from Sri Shankaracharya. And but the same shlokas, the second part, some others state that here in this karma yoga, there is faith in the form of certainty. Okay, I shall cross this samsara certainly through the worship of Bhagavan. Okay, which is surely one pointed. I will cross this. But again, in any case, whether we take that meaning or the one Sri Shankaracharya explained, in any case, according to the sections of the Vedas on the knowledge, which is the Upanishads, it clearly stands established that even a little of this rightness saves from great fear, right? So we previously looked at in the previous shloka as well, where Salpamasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat, right? So even a little bit of righteousness, dharma here saves from great fears. But in the section of karmas, rights and duties, the thoughts of those who lack certainty about Paramatma, Atma, who are desirous of various kinds of results, they have many branches of many varieties because their desires are many varieties and are innumerable because of the varieties of subsidiary of the branches in the form of results of principal rights and duties and results of their auxiliaries. So there are multiple branches and variations of one karma, how karma is followed. But Bhagavan says that single pointed focus on Paramatma is what needed. And he now goes on to explain that there is no wisdom possible for the people who are worldly minded, who are thinking about these worldly pleasures. For them, there is no, for those who does not have this conviction, who do not have this firm conviction in their nature, for them, there is no such thing. So he goes on to explain that in the next set of shlokas. So we will look at that across 3 shlokas combined here. So Bhagavan explains the situation of those people who do not have that firm conviction, firm buddhi. He explains that in this. So 3 shlokas, 42, 43, and 44th shloka, he explains that यामिमां पुष्पितां वाचं प्रवद्यन्ते विपश्चितः वेद वेदवादरताः पार्थ नान्यदस्तीति वादिनः कामात्मानः स्वर्गपरा जन्मकर्म फलप्रदां क्रियया विशेषबहुलां भोगैश्वर्य गतिं प्रति भोगैश्वर्य प्रसक्तानां तयापहृतचेतसां व्यवसायात्मिका बुद्धि समोदो na vidhiyate. So in these 3 shlokas, Bhagavan explains of those who do not have that firm buddhi about Paramatma and that's karma. And they go into different branches of this Vedas and Karma Kanda, what's explained in the Vedas. They go into different branches of that Veda because of their attachment. So the meaning of these 3 shlokas is Partha is, O Partha, those unenlightened people who utter this flowery talk, which promises the birth as a result of rights and duties, and is full of various special rights meant for the attainment of enjoyment and affluence, they remain engrossed in utterances of Vedas and declare that nothing else exists. Their mind are full of desires and they have heaven as the goal. One-pointed conviction does not become established in the minds of those whose delight in enjoyment and affluence and whose intellect are carried away by that speech. So If we look at a little bit on the word by word meaning, yam imam means all these, pushpitam means flowery, vacham means words, pravadanti means speak, avipashyatah means those with limited understanding, veda vadarata means attached to flowery words of Vedas. Partha is addressing Arjuna. Na anyat means no other. Asti means is. Iti means thus. Vadinaha means advocate. Next shloka, kama atmanaha means those desires of sensual pleasure. Swargaparaha means aiming to achieve the heavenly planets, heaven. And janma karma palaha means high birth, fruitive results, and those kind of things. Pradam means awarding. Kriya Vishesha means pompous ritualistic ceremonies. Bahulam means various. Bhoga means gratification. Aishwarya is luxury. Gati means progress. Prati means towards. And then the 44th shloka, Bhoga means gratification. Aishwarya is luxury. Prasaktanam means those whose minds are deeply attached. Taya means by that. Abhavrata chetasam means bewildered in intellect. And Vyavasayatmika means resolute. Buddhi means intellect. Samadho means fulfillment. Na vidyate means never occurs. Now let's look at a little bit more on how Sri Bhagavad Pada explains this shlokas in. And Partha, O Partha, those devoid of one-pointed conviction who utter this flowery talk, which is going to be stated, which is beautiful like a tree in blossom and very pleasant to hear, and it appears to be very meaningful sentences, the sentences that can be really meaningful because they are only if those that reveals Paramatma, right? So if a sentence that said, if that results in attaining that self-realization knowledge, then you can call that as meaningful. But on the other hand here, what we are talking about is a flowery talk that looks beautiful, that for hearing it is very pleasant. It looks meaningful sentence, appears to be meaningful, but it is not actually meaningful. Okay. So when we say it's meaningful, it's actually results in that self-realization. It takes us towards that self-realization. But what these people are talking about, they are flowery talk. And who are they? They are the people who are unenlightened. They are poor of poor intellect. They are of they do not have any not discriminating strength in them. They are non-discriminating. They are Veda Vadarataha. Here Bhagavan calls them Veda Vadarataha. That means who remain engrossed in the utterances of Vedas, that is in the Vedic sentences which reveal many results, fruits of actions, and their means and things like that. Those and who declare are apt to say that nothing else, Ishvara or moksha, etc., those things do not exist apart from the rights and duties conducive to the results of attainment, heaven, etc. They say that nothing else exists. Okay, so you should perform these Vedic rites and things like that for the benefit of attainment, heaven, for the desires, fulfillment of desires, and things like that. They will talk about that. So those people, they say that, and those kind of things, they are karma atmanaha. They have their minds full of desires. Their minds are full of kama atmanaha. They are full of kama atmanaha. Their minds are full of desires, and they are swayed by desires. They are by nature full of desires. Okay, and here Shankaracharya explains that kamatmanah means kama sabhava, kamapara ityartha. So they are swayed by desires. They are by nature full of desires. And such a persons, they are swargaparaha. They are having heaven as the only goal, Swarga as the goal. And those who accept heaven, Swarga, as the supreme goal and who attain heaven, who think as the human, as the supreme human goal, to whom heaven is the highest, they are Swargapara. So, definition of Swargapara is Swarga, Swargaha Paraha Purushartha Esham Te Swargaparaha. So, because they think Swarga is the Pradhana. So, they think that is the highest. So, those are the Swargapara. They think that the heaven is the ultimate. And those people, they utter that speech that is supplied, they utter that speech, which is Janma Karma Palapradam. So, that promises the result of rights and duties. Okay, so the result, which is phala of the rights and duties, karma, is karma phala. Karmana phalam, karma phalam. So the result of the rights and duties is karma phala, and the birth, which is janma itself, is karma phala. So janmaiva karma phalam, janma karma phalam. So those people, they utter this speech which is promises the birth as the result of these karmas. So that speech which promises is janma karma phala prada. So such a speech which says that you will get this kind of birth in the next life, do perform this kind of things, rituals, and do, or whatever that Vedas, they say that this is what happens in the Vedas, you do those kind of things, so you will get that kind of birth, or you will get this kind of things, or you will attend this heaven. All those things, people that promise in their flowery talk, that's what is Janma Karma Phala Pradam. So then this speech again is Kriya Vishesha Bahulam. So it is full of special rights. So, and it is Bhogaishwarya Gatim Prati. And it is for the attainment of the enjoyment and affluence. Again here, special rights. So that is Vishesha Kriya. So or Kriya Vishesha. Okay, so what is Kriya Vishesha? Kriyanam Vishesha, Kriya Vishesha. So special rights. They suggest special rights, performing special rights. So those are Kriya Vishesha, and the speech is full of those things. It's Bahula. Okay, so Bahula is full. So the speech that is full of these kind of Kriya Vishesha, special rights, is Kriya Vishesha Bahula. Okay, and that speech by which is full of these kind of things, and speech by which the speech by which these examples, like objects of heaven, the animals, suns, all these are revealed plentifully, is Kriya Vishesha Bahula. Okay, so if a speech is okay, your special rights, perform these things, and because of from that you're going to attain heaven, or you're going to attain these animals or sons or wealth or whatever, those things, whatever you're going to attain, that it promises, that is Kriya Vishesha Bahula. And then the next word Bhagavan says here, Bhoga Ishwarya Gatim Prati. So what is Bhoga? Bhoga is enjoyment, Aishwarya is affluence, and those together is Bhogaishwarya. Bhogascha Aishwaryam cha Bhogaishwarya. Bhogaishwarya. So and the attainment of Gati, their attainment, that is which is attainment is means Gati, is Bhogaishwarya Gati. So Bhoga, enjoyment, and Aishwarya, affluence, attainment of them is Bhogaishwarya Gati. And these people, they utter this speech that is full of specialized rights. So Kriya Vishesha, Bahula, and Prati, that's meant that attainment of these things, Bhogaishwarya. The special rights such as Agnihotra, the Darsha Purnamasya, Jyotisoma, all these things which are meant for attainment of enjoyment of, like in the heaven, the apsaras, or the arrive, like for example in the heaven, drinking that nectar or sporting in the fragrance of those parijata flowers and so on, all those things, or Aishwarya, like ownership of sovereignty, or rulership over devatas, becoming Indra, which is all this cause of enjoyment, the means of that presenting abundantly in the various rites that are enjoyment of all these kind of things is mentioned by Bhagavan here, Kriya Vishesha Bahulam. So they all these special rites, many of them, full of them, is presented for Bhoga Ishwarya Gati. Okay, so for getting that, for attaining those things, they talk about all these things. And Shankaracharya here says that tam vacham pravadantha mudha samsare parivartante. So the fools who utter that speech move in this cycle of transmigration. They go in this samsara continuously. They come in this cycle of this birth and death, always in there, those fools. So those Buddha samsare parivartante. So those fools who utter this kind of speeches, they continuously get stuck in this cycle of birth and death. And that's the idea here. And again, that is to say that under the erroneous idea that apart from heaven, there is no human goal, they work in the mindset that heaven is the ultimate goal. And they cannot bear any talk of moksha because of the absence of discrimination and dispassion in them. They do not have this discriminating buddhi of discriminating between the sukha dukkha, shitoshna, all these things we looked at previously, right? So because they do not have those things, they think that attaining heaven or all these bhoga ishwarya, all these things is the ultimate human goal. And Vyavasatmika buddhi, one-pointed conviction with regard to jnana or karma does not become established and does not arise. Na vidyate, it does not arise, it does not establish in them. In the minds of, in the minds, the word samadhi again in their minds, it does not arise. Again, here word samadhi is being used in the sense that into which everything is gathered together for the enjoyment of a person. And again, Bhoga Ishwarya Prasaktanam is used, and that is again those persons of who delight in enjoyment of wealth, whose delight is in enjoyment and also in wealth, and of those who have hankering that only enjoyment as also wealth is to be sought for, because they always think that the enjoyment and the wealth is what they should be seeking for. And those who again identify themselves with these kind of things, those are and also they are those whose intellect are carried away, those whose discriminating judgment becomes covered, they by that speech, which is full of various special rights, kriya vishesha. So by those special rights and things like that, they think that this enjoyment and the wealth, whatever they are trying to attain, is the highest thing. And because their intellect, their buddhi is carried away, they do not have any discriminating judgment in them, and that or the discriminating judgment is covered by these flowery talks, which is full of special rights. The idea is again here, although, for example, the kamya karma, the agnihotra or sacrifice and things like that, that do not frame daily performing agnihotra, right? For example, a japa one is performing. Okay, so at Gayatri Japa, let's take, for example, a Brahmana performs a Gayatri Japa. He daily performs a Gayatri Japa, that is his Nitya Karma, right? But if he does that Gayatri Japa with the desire to attain something, then it becomes a Kamya Karma, right? So there is a Nitya Karma when he does it just to purify his mind, all right? So that's Nitya Karma. But on the other hand, if he does that with the aim of attaining something, then it becomes a kama karma. So the idea what here Bhagavan trying to explain is, although the kama karma does not differ from those nitya karmas that are meant for purification of the mind, even they, that is the kama karma, do not bring the purification point. Even though it is the same Gayatri Japa one is doing, right, that Brahmana is doing, because he has desires attached to it, it does not bring purification of mind. Instead, it results in this samsara. It results in this continuous cycle of birth and death. And because of that defect of hankering for those results, because of those desires, purification does not come. And the purification that is favorable to the pure to, and also is needed for enjoyment of heaven, etc., is not conducive to the knowledge, the ajnana, the realization. Okay, so the purification that is required for that uh, realization is not going to come to those people because of that desires, kama. It performed as a kama karma. So again, look here, the same thing, right? So what we are saying is, it is the same thing, the same Gayatri Japa. Okay, one is performed as a nitya karma without any desires, purely for the purification of the mind. The other one is performed as a kama karma, as a desire. So the second one, the kama karma, does not result in purification of the mind. That's what Bhagavan is saying. And for pointing out this, indeed has been repeated in the phrases Bhogaishwarya Prasaktanam, who are engrossed in the enjoyment of sovereignty and things like that. Because in the previous shloka also, Bhagavan says that Bhogaishwarya Gatim Prati, right? So he repeats the same Bhogaishwarya Gatim for the attainment of those things. He repeats that. But those who, for example, the Agnihotra sacrifices or japa, as I mentioned, or those things, when performed without hankering for the results, that results in bestows the purification that is conducive to the knowledge. Therefore, it is established that the distinction between the results that come to the enlightened, and the unenlightened. Right? So that's why there is a difference in the results. And this also, again, later in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan explains more in detail. And also, so now Arjuna might ask, he might say that, well, because of the impurities of the hearts, so let's not, the understanding of the form, let not the understanding not form in the form of certainty about the Atma, right? Come to those with the desires. So anyone with any sort of desires, the understanding of Atma may not come. But in the case of those without desires also, they might perform the actions, the karmas, with the understanding that in the form of certainty about Paramatma, right? So the obstruction to the knowledge will be similar on that account as well, because getting such results as heaven and things like that from the nature of those actions still be there, right? So if, as I said, if I take my japa as an example, Gayatri japa as an example, one might say it is as a performed it as a nitya karma, my duty. I need to perform this japa, but still by performing that, one might get heaven or whatever, right? The wealth or whatever enjoyment, whatever as a result of that. But it is not his desire. But when it performs as a desire, we are saying that it does not result in purification of mind. Now, the question Arjuna is asking is, even though he's not asking, desiring for that heaven, he still gets those kind of things by performing the japa, right? So now, when that impurity is there, how can is it not going to obstruct the knowledge, attaining the knowledge? So anticipating that, and Bhagavan now talks about the advice to those kind of karma yogis. He gives that advice. He says Bhagavan now speaks the results of that accrue to those lustful persons who are thus wanting the discrimination. Okay, he explains that in the 45th shloka, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna, Nirdvando Nityasattvasto, Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. O Arjuna, the Vedas have three qualities as their object. You become free from worldliness, free from pace of duality, ever poised in the quality of sattva without desire for acquisition and protection and self-controlled. So you become like that. So Traigunya is three modes of material nature or the gunas, qualities. Vishaya is subject matter, Veda is Vedic scriptures, Nistraigunya is above those three gunas, and Bhava means be, Arjuna is Arjuna. Nirdvanda is free from dualities, Dvandva is duality, Nirdvanda is free from duality. Nitya Sattva is eternally fixed in truth. Niryoga Kshema means concerned about gain and preservation. And Atmavan means situated in the Atma, self. So Bhagavan here, what he's explaining is to those who are devoid of discriminating wisdom, so who cannot differentiate, who indulge in pleasure, the Vedas have three qualities as the object, have three gunas, that is the worldly samsara becomes as the object to be revealed for those people, right? So for those who do not have this kind of discriminating character wisdom, who indulge in this kind of pleasure and things like that, for them samsara becomes inevitable. The object, that's the only thing that gets revealed. So Vedas reveal for them, Vedas give this samsara. So again, Vedas here talking about the ritualistic part, which is the karma kanda, and the three gunas that's mentioned are sattva, that is which is purity, rajas, which is kind of energy, and then tamas, which is darkness. Okay, and we will come to those gunas later in Bhagavad Gita. And this samsara again, continuous cycle of the samsara maze, which is made up of virtuous, sinful, and mixed deeds. So it is mixed of sattva, rajas, and tamas. It is mix of all those things, and all that brought about by the interaction of the guna. So the samsara birth means it is the interaction of all three gunas. One is pure sattva. He is in the knowledge, he has attained that moksha, right? Very pure sattva. So that's attained. On the other hand, tamasa is darkness. One, and samsara means one is taking human birth, means one is having mix of these three gunas. So that's what Bhagavan says. Then again, that's why you become nistraiguna. You become free from the three qualities, that is free from desire. So again, here Bhagavan, what he's saying is free from three qualities or three gunas. It little bit conflicting, because in the same shloka he says nitya sattvasta. Okay, you become always have ever poised in the qualities of sattva. That's why here Shankaracharya explains that this nirgun nistraigunya means free from the qualities or gunas, means you become free from the desires. That's what Sri Shankaracharya explains here. So that means you become nishkama. You do not have any attachment, free from the desires. So he explains, he uses the word nishkama as a translation for nistraigunya, and not free from all the qualities, because Bhagavan is asking him to Arjuna to become nitya sattva. He have to have a pure sattva quality, right? So we will come to look at those things in the next session when we gather at the continuing of this shloka.